We want to just briefly give folks a peek of some of the things that we are really excited about with Nadia. So, as many of you know, we started off with Nadia as we were thinking of her as an executive coach. And what we did is, we thought, hey, can we program what an executive coach does in Nadia? And we wanted to put it out into the wild and get a sense of what people's reaction would be. And so we talked to a bunch of coaches out there. One of the things that we found interesting was the ICF, one of the suggestions that ICF gives their coaches, one of the principles is a coach should evoke awareness. And so we built a Nadia to do that, and we put it out there. And one of the things we discovered, and this might not come as a surprise for folks who have worked a lot of managers, is they don't on a day-to-day basis have a deep need to have their awareness evoked. They're pretty busy. They have a million things on their plate, and they basically wanted something that would save them time. So we evolved from this idea of a pure reflective coach to a coach that is going to try to help them. So we've shared with you before, Nadia, we're building this personalization layer. Nadia knows coaching, knows your company, knows you. And I want to spend one moment on coaching before we talk a little bit about some of the personalization that's going to be really exciting. So the way Nadia evolved was she quite quickly became a thought partner that could try to handle anything that was on a manager's mind. And that blank canvas starting point was actually important because it turned out each manager had a different challenge, honestly a different challenge every week, sometimes a different challenge at the beginning or the end of a day, and they wanted Nadia to be able to help them with that. So we tried to train her as an expert, a coach, but with a bunch of different superpowers. And these superpowers are growing probably literally every 2 weeks or every month. We're adding a new specialization, sort of coaching module, a hat that Nadia can wear. So some of them that are out there right now, if you tell Nadia, hey, I've got a presentation in front of 200 people in a couple of weeks and I want to practice executive presence, Nadia will build a plan, a skill plan to help you do that. We've talked about performance conversations. If you have a performance conversation coming up, Nadia can help you practice it, can help you role model it. One of the things that we've heard back from users is one of the things they appreciate the most is that Nadia isn't just a website that they go visit, but that she will be in some cases quite proactive about holding them accountable to a conversation that they had and a commitment that they made. And for some folks, they really appreciate that. So there's a range of, I think there's someone in the room who will appreciate the challenge version of Nadia. So if you are feeling a little too smug about how you are doing, there's a version of Nadia that says, I'm going to put on my challenge hat, and I'm going to ask you if perhaps this is a pattern that you might have seen in the past few conversations you've had with this person or with other people, and maybe it's something you should reflect on yourself rather than point the finger outwards. So we have a range of different Nadia coaches, and the thing that's exciting about that is that we can then also start to tune those coaches for what companies are looking for. So just a couple of weeks ago, I was down at Gartner Reimagine conference. I had the opportunity to have a long conversation on stage sharing the stories of Prudential. And it was with Robert Gulliver, the chief talent officer at Prudential. He also drew a lot on sports analogy, similar to Anna. He was I think the first CHRO of the NFL. And he believes wholly in coaching. Prudential's been a big adopter of Nadia, and they've been rolling it out in a number of different ways. And he just talked about the increasing pieces of material, of ideas, of approaches that they were bringing into Nadia to help them with everything from their end-of-year conversations, which they call 2+2 conversations, all the way through to their other parts of their talent development life cycle. But the thing that folks were most excited about is when we talked to users, they said 3 things over and over again. We want Nadia to learn more about, they want Nadia to learn more about themselves. So how can they provide Nadia as quickly as possible with information about themselves. The second thing, which I think is really fascinating and which we've released and rolled out now, is can Nadia know about others on my team, not just through me? And then finally, people have said, I know that I should gather more feedback. I need a lightweight way to do that. Could Nadia help me with that? So we're going to get a quick glimpse of what some of these Nadia 2.0 features, we're releasing them January, February, and again, I just want to emphasize every company has control over which features Nadia does or doesn't have. You can control what's turned on or off. Users get control over their own profiles, so it's very much sort of enterprise-first approach. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about what it will be like to have, a Nadia with a profile. So right now, what Nadia does, in layperson's term, at the end of a conversation, is she takes coaches' notes. So she is summarizing what she's learned about me. She's making some hypothesis. She might generate a few questions, almost exactly the same way a coach would. So she's inferring pieces of information, but it still takes time to educate her. And so the new version of the profile is going to allow people to very, very quickly get a sense of upload information to Nadia. So we have been told that people really want Nadia to know a lot about their job. So if you're a frontline worker at Delta, you're manning a customer service desk, or if you're a knowledge worker, a content marketer at a brand agency, you're going to have a very different reality. And we can quite quickly give you the chance to bring Nadia up to speed on what that might look like. The second thing that everyone wants their Nadia to know is know about my team, know about who the people are that I work with, know about the relationships, know about the power imbalances, know about the roles that people are playing. And so we've made it easy for Nadia to be able to understand that. Now, the one thing I would say is when we talk to people, absolutely zero of them have said that sort of team structure is contained within their HRIS. So they've said the org chart that we have does not at all convey that complexity. It's like Prasad said, we sort of are forced to flatten the richness of the world that we live in on a day-to-day basis to try to put it into the old software systems, but Gen AI is able to maintain that. Nadia can also have information about your feedback and the feedback that you've gotten. We'll see that in a moment, as well as your skills in your career development aspirations. So as you've got a fleshed out profile on that, the thing that people are asking about is now, I want my Nadia to know a little bit about other Nadias. And so what people will be able to do is they'll be able to choose, are they going to keep their profile private? Or are they going to allow Nadia to take their profile and translate it into a public version? And again, you get to quality control it, you get to see what this looks like. But imagine that your Nadia coach says, okay, here's what I know about Parker. I know that he's fast-paced, sometimes he can be forgetful, sometimes he can look like he's distracted in meetings, but he's really trying to parallel process. He likes to get information with the big picture first and the details afterwards. And I'd be very happy if my Nadia sort of created a public profile of mine so that I could be able to allow others to figure out how to work well with me. And so we've made that live for us at Valence and a couple of other early pilot organizations. So if you go to the team section in your profile and people have made their public, the team section of your app, if team members have made their profile public, you will get a chance to be coached specifically on it. And it is the most interesting, the most engaging feature that we've released. People just love to know, how can I interact with this particular person a little bit differently than I might with someone else? I think 40 to 45% of our conversations in Nadia are either about team and team relationships or about communications, and many of those are becoming much, much richer because if you know that two parties involved in that communication or that relationship, the coaching can be incredibly more rich. So that's knowing Nadia about yourself, knowing Nadia about others. And then the third piece that we thought was really interesting was, could Nadia be a way to gather feedback for you? And I just really love that one-dimensionality analogy because I think that also applies to feedback. I don't know, how many people have filled out a feedback survey for a colleague in 2024? Hands up. Can't see it. There's a lot of hands that are up. How many people enjoyed that process? Oh, I don't see that many hands up. It's very hard to translate the richness of the person to trying to answer, a 7-point Likert scale on 26 different questions. And so what we want to do here with Nadia is introduce very, very lightweight conversational feedback focused on growth and development. And so what we will see here is if I go through my profile and it's turned on, I have an option to collect feedback via a 360 review. And so this is what we think, the future of 360s is going to be conversational and no longer Likert based. So we've got, Nadia's asking me, what I want to check in on. So I'm going to tell her that I want to get started with feedback. Hi, Nadia. It's the end of the year. I've been reflecting on my leadership. I want to get feedback from my team on how I'm doing. So for those of you who don't know, Nadia can speak as well as text back. About half the people use text, half the people use her voice. And what she's able to do is look through the past conversations that I've had, look through my profile, and highlight that there are two things that have been important to me. One is about celebrating wins, and one is about bringing new people. Valence is rapidly growing, so bringing new people up to speed on the journey. So I think that sounds good to me. That sounds good. Can you email my team to ask them for the feedback? So we've introduced the ability now, if Nadia's hooked up to your systems, to be able to directly take these tiny actions on your behalf. Either she'll write the email for you, you can cut and paste it, or she can do it directly. So we're trying to make your life a little bit easier in some of these tasks to make you more willing and more likely to do them, trying to take the friction out of it. So what you're going to get a chance to experience. So I, as a crazy CEO, told my team, what I want to do is I want all 200 people to take a picture of the QR code, and then I want them to give me feedback on the phone, and then Nadia real time is going to consolidate feedback from 200 people who don't know me or who I am, and then we're going to get to see what my profile is. My team convinced me that was a little chaotic, and we shouldn't do it. But if you would like to experience conversational feedback, it's live and you can have a conversation with Nadia, and I promise I won't be offended at the feedback that you give me. But what we're going to do is we're going to bring one of my team members up on stage to see what it's like.
Hi, Parker. I'm excited to give you some public feedback at your AI Summit. All right, so let me make sure that I'm on the right screen. I am. Okay, so Nadia has sent me a note, and she's asking me to reflect on whether or not Parker is celebrating wins and how well he's conveying this to me. All right. Hey, Nadia. I think he's doing great. I feel super appreciated in my role, and I think he knows I'm working hard. He sends Slacks and texts to say thank you. And I know he's really proud of the product team. I'm wondering if those wins are being shared with everyone or just with me. That's a good point. Some of these are very much direct messages to me, and we do hear quite a bit about products. So I wish he could celebrate the relationships that the client team is building. I think they're doing hard work and doing an amazing job. Okay, so Parker is thinking about this. That's interesting. And it seems like he wants to formalize some of this. Have I seen a difference? Well, he's definitely positive, but now that you mention it, I think it could be more formal. There were a few all hands where he did do a bit of celebration, but it started to fade. I know he's been thinking about hiring a chief of staff, and I kind of wonder if that will help this a lot. Do I have 5 minutes? I would love to keep chatting, Nadia, but I need to go present at an AI summit. All right, so I'm going to give this back to Parker, and we'll see what all of the feedback he collected might say to him.
So we just wanted to try to illustrate what it's like. This is what an executive coach does. If any of you have had an executive coach that collects feedback, they know a lot about you and your intentions, and they're able to draw out the type of nuances, that multidimensional nuance that is going to be truly helpful for you. And we heard from Anna and others that it's the frequency of feedback that is just so important. And so if there's a world in which we can have our AI coaches go out, gather in really lightweight ways the feedback, probably more specific feedback than what's my end of year 360 review, but how did I do on preparing for this particular event, or how did we do on this project that we just launched? That kind of high feedback world we think is going to feed a lot of the learning and growth that a lot of us aspire to.